We've all been there. The cracker pulling at Christmas gets a little bit out of hand and bam, your Yorkshire pudding is now on the floor. No biggie, you've got 5 seconds, right? Small tiny disclaimer, a lot of the studies that I am talking about have been written and published in actual books. Therefore they are a bit harder to find, so a lot of my information is coming from either excerpts of the books or reviews of the books or articles written about the topic in general. I will put all of the links down in the description below, but if anybody can find the original studies, please help me out. All of these articles have been consistent across the board, so take from that what you will. This video is also not intended to be taken as medical advice or advice on whether or not you should eat food off of the floor. This is just the science and what the science has to say about a common saying regarding food on the floor. In 2003, Gillian Clark and Meredith Agel ran a project at the University of Illinois Food and Nutrition Department in order to find whether the 5-second rule was just a myth or not, and whether bacteria can or can't transfer onto food from 5 seconds of exposure. They swabbed floors across the university, including in the labs, in dormitories and in hallways, and they were surprised by the results because there weren't really that many organisms in their swabs. Because this was so surprising, they repeated the swabs and got the same result. Agel states that this is likely down to the fact that floors are dry, and that is not an ideal living arrangement for bacteria such as E. coli, Salmonella and Listeria. They far prefer a damp environment with adequate nutrients, light and oxygen. Floors don't really cater to those needs. To test whether bacteria can actually transfer onto food within 5 seconds, they inoculated some sterile vinyl tiles with known amounts of E. coli. They placed cookies and gummy bears on these tiles, and then after 5 seconds they removed them and tested for bacterial transfer. And they found that E. coli did in fact transfer from the tile to the food within 5 seconds. They didn't report how many bacteria transferred onto the food, or whether there were differences between the cookies and the gummy bears. They only tested on tile, so results might not be applicable to carpet, wood or damp flooring. In 2005, Mythbusters conducted a very similar study, except this time they dropped wet food, pastrami, and dry food, a cracker, on flooring to see if this made a difference. And it did! They found that wet food picks up more bacteria than dry food. In 2006, Paul Dawson and Brian Sheldon performed the first peer-reviewed study on this topic, and they found that with a wet food, bacterial transfer did in fact happen within 5 seconds. Where's my lighting gone? Better. Which suggests that this food might not be safe to eat after 5 seconds on the floor. But they also found that the longer the food was left, the more bacteria transferred onto it. In 2014, researchers at Aston University in Birmingham also confirmed these findings, stating that contact time significantly increased bacterial transfer, regardless of food type and floor type. So basically, the longer you left the food on the surface, the more bacteria it would pick up. And plenty of further studies have also achieved this conclusion. So what does this mean for the 5-second rule? The studies all concluded that bacterial transfer can and does happen within 5 seconds. So just because you've picked up your food within the 5 seconds, that does not mean that there are no bacteria on it. So food dropped on a contaminated surface after any amount of time is likely not safe to eat. And the 5-second timeline is a seemingly arbitrary length of time used to infer that the sooner you pick it up, the less bacteria will be on it. But there is never going to be no risk of any bacteria being on that piece of food. The sooner you pick up the food, the fewer bacteria are likely to be on it, but there is still a risk of bacterial contamination. However, the earliest studies in particular suggested that your floors might be cleaner than you think they are. So just because you've dropped food on the floor, it's not a guarantee that you've dropped food in a contaminated patch of floor. There might be no bacteria there. This is because the floor is a hostile living environment for bacteria and pathogens, meaning there's not a 100% chance that you have in fact dropped your food in an area where there is bacteria. But there is absolutely no way to know that for sure, especially in the real-time 5 seconds that you have to decide whether you are going to eat that piece of food or not. So in conclusion, the 5-second rule is absolutely a myth. And while your floors might be cleaner than you think they are, don't eat food off the floor. I hope you've enjoyed this video and learning about the 5-second rule. Don't forget to like this video, drop a comment down below and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Ring that notification bell so you get notified every single time I post a new video. Videos go up every Saturday at 6 PM UK time with at least one bonus video every single month. Apart from this month, which is Vlogmas, and you're getting 25 videos in 25 days. We are almost there. See ya!